Let's take a look at those teams over in Group A, starting with the #1 seed from China's LPL. It is Edward Gaming. Next up is the #2 seed from Korea's The Champions, Samsung White.
The next team in this group is the #2 team from the GPL, AHQ Esports Club. And the final team is going to be one of the international wildcard teams, Turkey's Dark Passage.
Well, let's actually take a closer look at those teams, starting with Turkey's Dark Passage. Dark Passage has been the most dominant team in Turkey for the last 2 straight years. They won the winter, spring and summer seasons, as well as the Turkish Grand Finals in 2013 and 2014.
They competed in the International Wildcard Tournament last year, but lost out in the semifinals. But this year, they've returned and have dominated their opponents, bringing their first ever World Championship trip for a Turkish team. So let's take a look now at their starting lineup. In the mid lane is Naru, in the jungle is Crystal, supporting is Touch, AD carry is Holy Phoenix, and the top laner is Fabulous.
Yeah, and I've actually had the pleasure of shoutcasting Dark Passage both last year and this year, and there's been a noticeable improvement. The first person who stands up for me is their mid laner, Naru. He has definitely grown from last year to this. He's got a phenomenal KDA of 7.3 in both the Turkish Grand Finals and including the 2014 World Championship, International Wildcard rather, where he really impressed me with his champion pool. You know, playing at Gamescom under the lights on the stage, he played 7 different champions in 8 games, and he really excelled in his role. Secondary to that, Holy Phoenix has joined the team in the AD carry. He was too young last year as he was not 17. Now that he has come of age, he joined in the squad and he destroyed at Gamescom. Krepo, I want to ask you, what's your take on Holy Phoenix and Dark Passage as a whole?
Yeah, I think Holy Phoenix is definitely one of the better, if not the best AD carry in his region. But unfortunately for him, this tournament is going to be so stacked AD-wise that it's going to be so hard for him to even come close to the level of his opposition. All the other AD carries in his group are just really good at what they do. So while he's very strong, I'm just really worried to how well he can perform. However, he had a good season, had good KDAs, had a good performance, and even had a pentakill on Tristana. Maybe he's dreaming for another one, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, we'll have to see. Maybe you can repeat that success. All right, guys, let's turn our focus onto GPL's AHQ Esports Club. AHQ have been one of the top 2 teams in the GPL over the last 2 years. And last season, they were actually the favorites to make it to the World Championship, but they were upset by the Gamania Bears.
It's kind of been the story for AHQ is they're always almost there, but the losses have kind of continually fired AHQ up in GPL's regional finals this year. They swept the Saigon Fantastic 5-3-0 and finally grabbed that #2 seed and went to the World Championship. Now we're going to take a look at their starting roster. Their AD carry is Garnet Devil, in the top lane is Prize, in the mid lane their star player is West Door, in the jungle is Nas, and supporting is Green Tea. Now again, the player that stands out to me is that mid laner West Door. He is definitely the best mid laner in the region, and this is again a region that has bred players like toys. This is a player that a lot of us still remember from the Season 2 World Championship. This guy is a phenomenal assassin player. His Fizz, his Zed, his Yasuo are great, and if they're going to win, it's going to be on his back.
And I just want to chime in because Westor and Nas are just the playmakers of that team. If there's a fight that breaks out top lane 1v1 or bottom lane 2v2, they're always the first ones to respond. They're always looking to make plays, get picks, and carry the team. They're just the most active members of HQ. I'm
glad you mentioned the bottom lane. What's your take on Garnet Devil? I mean, ADC, what do you think?
Yeah, so when I watch him, I would compare him to the likes of Cop. He's very consistent. His positioning is good. He's not a playmaking like AD carry per se, but he's very focused on just positioning, hyper carry, get to late game, and just do his job. He's not standout in any way, but he definitely is the top AD carry in his region, in my opinion.
Well, 12-0 on Jinx. He definitely makes it to the late game, that's for sure. All right, next up, it is going to be Samsung White. That's coming from Korea. This team is making it back to Worlds after failing to make it out of the groups last year, where they played as Samsung Ozone. Samsung White have admitted to being overconfident last year, and they tasted the bitterness of defeat. It is weighing heavily on their minds, as we heard in the Road to Worlds documentary.
Sure, but they're of course not going to let that defeat hold them back. They've earned enough circuit points to force a tiebreaker against SK Telecom T1K for the 2nd spot from Korea. That's where they defeated the defending world champions 3-0. So a very good road for them so far. And we're going to take a look now at their starting players. In the jungle is Dandy, one of the best junglers in the world. AD carry is Imp, supporting is Mata. In the mid laner is Pawn, and the top laner is Looper. Now, the only difference for this squad from the last year's sort of failed squad at Worlds is a swap in the mid lane. Pawn is now playing in place of Dade, and I think it's for the better.
Yeah, I think so. Dade struggled last year. I'm looking forward to seeing Pawn play. But truthfully, we have to ask the conductor for his opinion on Samsung White. Talk to me about some of the players, Monty.
Well, you know, for Samsung White, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Samsung organization, and either team is going to probably win this World Championship. But if I had to bet on one, I'd bet on White. And the reason is, even though, you know, they haven't kind of had that seminal performance where they actually beat Blue in a best-of-5, I think the time is now. And Dandy's going to be right up there with it. Dandy, I think, is the best jungler in the world right now, and he is head and shoulders above pretty much any other jungler in this tournament. It's his jungle pathing, his control of vision with Mata, his ability to play Rengar even after the nerfs makes him very, very dangerous on certain assassin champions, and he's a playmaker. You know, he can go in there, he can lead his team in, and this guy is just extraordinary. We call him the Prince of Thieves. He always steals objectives. Really well-rounded player.
I want to know your thoughts on Imp. I'm personally excited to see him play. What's your take?
Imp's a very good player. A lot of the time, what Samsung White will do is play pick compositions. Imp will typically play a champion like Twitch in that situation. He's one of the first in, usually. He's not like Name, another AD carry in this group who's more positional. He's there in the front line.
The best thing about Imp, though, that he has the privilege to play with Mata, and that makes their bot lane just even better. That's arguably the best support, if not one of the best supports in the world. I'm just looking forward to see them play.
And finally, let's check out China's Edward Gaming. Just half a year ago, this team has gone from not existing at all to being one of the best squads in the world. They were assembled by combining the top players from teams like World Elite and Positive Energy and molding them into this unstoppable powerhouse.
And a powerhouse they are. They stormed through the spring and summer playoffs both, taking first place the entire year. They also only lost a single game the entire route through the summer playoffs. And so with 2 first-place finishes and then winning the Chinese regionals, they are the #1 Chinese seed for Worlds. Let's take a look now at their starting lineup. Their AD carry, their star player is Name, formerly known as Devil if you think about him from a while back. Their top laner is Koro1. Their jungler is Clearlove. Their mid laner is Unstoppable. In this tournament, he'll be known as just the letter U. And the support player is FZZF.
Well, now, Doublelift, I know that you keep in touch with the Chinese scene and Chinese AD carries in particular. So what's your opinion on Name?
I mean, this guy's just amazing. He's definitely my pick for just someone to watch in Group A. I mean, he's 3-time champion. He's just incredible. He's so consistent. I've never seen him lose lane. When I watch EDG play, this guy never, ever, ever loses lane. The only time that he actually dies in the first 10 minutes is when the enemy team, like, 4v2 dives bottom lane. So it's just something completely out of his control. He's super consistent. His positioning is incredible. But the thing to note about him, he's really unique. He doesn't make plays. He is just very, very consistent. He doesn't dive in 1v5. His positioning is pretty much always perfect.
Yeah, I agree there. He's just a very smart player. One game, for example, he made an adaptation where, as Twitch, he would just gank level 1 mid and just basically win that mid lane for you, go down to the bottom lane because they were playing in a lane swap anyways. He recognized that he had that 30-second window where he actually did not need to be bottom lane immediately, and he took advantage of that and basically won mid lane for his mid laner.
One thing that is going to be a little concerning, though, is the fact that I think a lot of this tournament is going to be on his shoulders, and if he's not willing to take risks and abuse the fact that he'll be winning the bot lane consistently, it's going to be a little bit of a hard road for EDG with teams of incredible players in every lane.
Yeah, very briefly, let's talk about you, Unstoppable in the mid. I feel like he's overshadowed by some of the other Chinese mid laners. Doublelift, care to share your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Yu's not the strongest mid in China by any means, but what he is known for is his diversity. He can play pretty much everything. The thing that kind of strikes me as negative about him is people will sometimes play niche stuff against him, such as Jace mid, and he'll just go on crazy feeding sprees. He'll just die constantly in lane. So he might not be the best laner, but he's exactly what the team needs. He's super versatile, and he'll pick for the team comp.
Well, now that we've looked at the 4 teams in Group A, let's go look through our telescope over to the telestrator, as Montecristo is actually going to take us into the laning phase.
Thank you, Quickshot. If we take a look at this group on Summoner's Rift under a sweeping lens, one lane stands out above the others. And that's where I expect the make or break performances that will see a team advance or falter here in the group stages. For Group A, I think those battles will take place in the bot lane, and specifically with the AD carries. So we're going to do a quick rundown of the 4 ADCs competing in Group A and exactly what makes them tick. Starting off, Samsung White. There's Imp. Also known as one of the best ADCs in the world, he has insane mechanics and believed to have one of the strongest laning phases of any ADC. Following up, Edward Gaming, it's Name. He is known as one of the best positional ADCs in the world, extremely intelligent, and picks heavy scaling champs for the late game carry. AHQ Esports Club, Garnet Devil. one of the best in the region, and he had amazing performances with huge KDAs in the recent GPL season and the regional finals. And finally, Dark Passage, his Holy Phoenix. He's undoubtedly the best ADC in all of Turkey. He carried his team during the international wildcard tournament with a pentakill. Now, if we start to rank the ADCs in this group, I think it'd probably stack up a little bit like this. Number 4, Holy Phoenix. Unfortunately for him, he's going up against the 3 ADCs that are among the best in their respective regions. These regions are much bigger, and moreover, our top 2 are probably top 3 in the world. Following up, number 3, Garnet Devil. Like Holy Phoenix, he is one of the best in his region, but he will be facing Name and Imp, and these are regions with a lot heavier competition. Number 2, may surprise some of you, I'm actually going to say Imp here. Imp does bring great mechanics to matches. He has a very strong laning phase, and he's paired with Mata, which you really can't underestimate, but he can get cocky and make some mistakes in the late game because he's more of that playmaking style. You want to look for consistency. It's my number 1. It's Name here. It's really close between Imp and Name. They have very different play styles. But I believe that Name just edges Imp out due to his stronger late game and his consistently good decision-making and his emphasis on team fights. Regardless, it'll definitely be interesting to see these 2 duke it out with their very different styles. So there you have it for the laning phase for Group A. Quick shot, back to you.
Thank you very much, Monty. Jat actually took some time out of his schedule to catch up with one of those OP AD carries over in Taipei. So let's send it over to him and see what Edward Gaming's Name has to say.
Hey everybody, I am here with Name from EDG to talk a little bit about the World Championship. And you have actually won 3 straight splits in the LPL. How have you been able to do that?
主要是因为我觉得我上了赛场之后，我就觉得我能赢他们吧，差不多也相当于是自信和就是我觉得只要我不导致我打得很差，不会崩盘，我就导致我会赢得这场比赛，自己就信心很足那种。
It's interesting, where does that confidence come from? Because you've been so dominant as an AD carry for so long, but where do you draw all of your confidence?
这种东西有在日常交手中，就是与交手过很多次，也不是属于那种陌生的对手，打起来的话，就是不会不知道对方体系，所以说就知道该怎么玩能赢。
And now you guys actually move on to the world stage, where you get to play AD carries from all regions. How do you think you'll stack up against those players since you haven't played them before?
我也有事先看过一些国内外的比赛，就是事先了解他们比较想交手的。我感觉每个队的每个地区的种子队都是我非常想交手的队伍。
And after watching all the other AD carries, how do you think you stack up against them?
这种事情要上了舞台之后才能决定吧。就是当你打起来和你在台下观看完全就是不一样了。你交起手来，你才知道一个人的真正实力有多少。
And of all the AD carries you've watched, who are you most looking forward to playing against, or who do you want to face the most?
应该是韩国的Imp。
Why Imp?
因为那个人在线上的个人实力很强，以及操作感都是让我觉得我非常想要战胜他。
You want to play against Imp. Are there any teams in particular you want to play against?
比较想交手的队伍应该也是韩国的三星蓝白队，还有欧洲的 Fnatic，以及北美的 TSM。
And last question for you. OMG and Royal Club both had a lot of success last year at Worlds. OMG in the group stages and Royal Club making it all the way to the finals. Yet your team, Edward Gaming, has beaten them consistently in the LPL. How do you think that helps you as a team going towards the World Championship this year?
跟 OMG 还有皇族这种战队交手，说实话，他们的实力也是真的是非常强，赢了他们也不会取得那么轻松。就是让我们在了解一个队伍的实力上限，就是相当于征服了他们。如果他们征服了队伍之后，我们有更大的信心去战胜对手吧。所以去年就是13年 S3的时候，皇族的成绩确实非常好，希望我们在今年能够超越他们。
Well, thank you for that, Jet, and thank you even more to Name for taking the time out to chat to us.
Yeah, and I just wanted to expand on something earlier because I'm really excited about Name. It can't be understated. This is a guy who's coming into Worlds with 3 consecutive championships in his region on 2 different teams. For me, this is the best player in the world that we have never seen at an international competition, and I am so excited.
Well, after that introduction, Monty, it's time for the table. Well, you around the table to tell me who your number 1 and number 2 teams are. You're going to make it out of groups into quarterfinals, and I know you're going to put Edward Gaming first. So come on,
you know
1
me
and
so
2.
well. No. It's gonna be Samsung White. This is a team that, as good as Name is, Imp is still right up there at the top of the elite carries in the world, and they're just better players at all the other positions, effectively. Now, my one concern with EDG being number 2, Samsung White has had a tendency to lose to a team that has a very similar style to EDG, their sister team, Samsung Blue, that's reliant on a very positional AD carry, an AoE, big-time AoE mid, and a lot of team fighting. Of course, AHQ probably 3rd, Dark Passage probably 4th. This is the David and Goliath group. I don't think they stand much of a chance.
We'll see if it works out. Had some faith in Westor earlier. What's your opinion and predictions for this group, Doublelift?
Well, I have to agree with Monty, even though I don't really want to, because the Korean team is definitely going to make it out. Samsung White, absolutely the best team in this group. And EDG, just a little bit under them. Honestly, I think Name edges out Imp a little bit, but in all other roles, in all 4 other roles, Samsung White just has slightly better players, if not like drastically better players.
Westor and Garnet Devil, not even a glimpse, maybe?
I don't see a glimpse of hope for them. I see a glimpse of hope for AHQ to potentially take 1 game off of these guys.
Well, we'll see. Next prediction, Krepo, 1 and 2. Are you going with the trend?
Yeah, I'm definitely putting White first, EDG second, and I do agree with Doublelift. AHQ might be able to take a game of EDG just because their vision control isn't really good, their pre-planning isn't really good. They these 5v5 brawl fests that's so typical for the Chinese scene actually happen because they don't plan ahead very well. They don't push out their side lanes very well, or they don't have the best vision control. Compare that to White. They have Mata just controlling the game on his own in terms of vision. So, and I agree as well, role for role, the Koreans are just better in this matchup.
Freak, I've got to roll this one on to you.
Yep.
EDG, the one Chinese team at Worlds that I feel doesn't play that stereotypical team fight way. I think they can if they want to.
Right.
1 or 2, or is a surprise like AHQ going to make your 1 and 2?
So I can't give any more facts than what you guys have already said. I agree. The number 1 is Samsung White. Number 2 is Edward Gaming. Number 3 is AHQ, and I think they are a dark horse that can make a run here. Specifically because I think they are very strong, and Westor can just hard carry here. And with Edward, there's the chance that Name just doesn't perform internationally. There's the chance that it doesn't quite click for EDG, and there's the upset in AHQ.